2, 1.
LJ. Welcome to the LJ podcast. My name is Jocelyn Reyna.
And I am Logan, and today we'll be talking about how technology impacts our day-to-day life, or just our life in general.
We're gonna start with the speed of technology. How has that impacted our lives?
I definitely think that, the whole idea around technology is that its goal is to speed up your everyday processes. And so, while that's a good thing in the sense of you get into, you don't have to live day to day on a single like meal, and you don't have to work for a meal and then you eat it at night, but rather now you have this idea of everything becomes speeds up because of technology. Your entire lives speed up. Maybe you could give us like a few examples of what type of technology can speed up our lives.
A good example would be cars. How that has evolutionized, and cars used to be so simple as we used to use donkeys and horses, and now we have engines with the powers of what the horses could do. Also, that has impacted how everything is far away now, as in back in the day, everything used to be closer since we didn't have that possibility to go further.
hmm Yeah, you used to be able to just walk practically anywhere, or take a horse anywhere, and it doesn't. You don't need to rely on this type of technology to take you places. Whereas now, to function in today's society, you practically need to have a car, and that kind of affects mainly the younger population. There's actually a lot of studies about how, because of cars, the mental health and how friendships are formed at a younger age are extremely hindered, because you have to have a car and able to have in-person interaction. And so without this type of technology that we become so reliant on, because you can't walk anywhere, you can hardly bike anywhere, um, type of your entire life is secluded. You're secluded from the world if you don't have a car.
An example of that would be like where I live, there's trailers, and the closest store is Tom Thumb, but going there walking is 30 minutes, and coming back is another 30 minutes. So a whole hour away if you want to go to the store and come back just by walking. Also, I remember where it used to be just trees. Just trees are on there, and now they're building these, I don't know how it's called in English, but it's called bodegas, where they store things for like airport things, and they've destroyed all the
Like warehouses.
warehouses. They build warehouses now, and it's just like the industry's moving so fast thanks to the technology we have to help build houses and other things.
Yeah, and then that has economical issues that come with that too. Now you're destroying trees, destroying habitats, all for the sake of trying to speed up our lives. When in actuality, do our lives need to be sped up? I think that takes us to our next point. How, because of our how our day-to-day lives are, we get into a point of excess. We have excess, and so our goals in life turn from just sustaining, having a farm, having a good family and family values and stuff. Now it becomes about the excess in our lives. So maybe you could talk a bit about that.
One thing I mentioned was how we have a lot of food options. We used to only have, like, let's say a potato, and then we would kill a goat, and that would be it for like a week, or even just a day. And nowadays we have so many options as to what food we wanna eat, and so many other cultures of foods.
Yeah, and so, you become, because of this kind of a connection that we have with that. It's a good thing that we are connected to other cultures, other places outside of our own, and we're out of the just sustaining lifestyle. But on the other hand of that, we become uncontent with what we have, and we have an idea that we need to continue to build up the excess, get more excess, and I think it speeds up we try to speed up our lives so that we can get these things when it doesn't make us happy and we can't find happiness in the excess.
Yes, because we see around in social media, especially, how other people have more than us, and without that resource or without us having the possibility to see and know what other people are doing around the world, we could have just had the image of just Louisville and just see what other people have here and how like it could be better reach within our economic possibilities, but seeing what other people, let's say in Los Angeles, how they have probably more money, or in a better situation, how they have more, and makes us want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That also contributes to how communication in social media especially has impacted us. We can hear podcasts like this one or many other shows from like across the country. For example, I'm a fanatic of K-dramas and K-pop, and without the technology, I could have never found out about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. Some people will say that we're living in a communication era, and so because of social media, because of technology, everything has become super fast. Communication. One interesting thing is if you've ever heard the word Riz, it's a short form of charisma. It was recently named the word of the year, and what's really interesting about about Riz is that the word only became popular in like 2020. So it's a very new word, and it's already reached a massive use base. Things like the abbreviation of influenza to flu took years, decades to take off, and then that word became widespread as the flu. Whereas Riz now, because of social media and things, that our entire etymology of our language just changes so fast, and that can kind of contribute to how the older population views the younger population. They're like, well, all these words are just springing up, and it makes a disconnect to the older population.
Yes, talking more into deep about that disconnect. For example, I'm gonna use me as an example again. I didn't get a phone until I was like 13 or 12, which meaning some of my friends had phones before that, and they would communicate or use slang that I didn't understand because I wasn't I didn't know what those words meant. Even today, some abbreviations I don't know, and I have to ask either Google or my friend, be like, what does that mean? And it disconnected me from my friends in a way that I couldn't communicate with them how they communicated with other friends that did have phones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of becomes there's so much information out in the world, and new trends, jokes, and everything pop up so fast that it's almost like the younger generation has to rely on social media in order to be in the loop of everything else. Whereas you can read the newspaper once a day, you hear it from a friend, but now because of how fast everything moves, if you're not constantly on social media, you're gonna disconnect from the rest of society, which can be very dangerous, especially if you maybe have an issue with that, you feel as if you're addicted to social media. Well, you can't take a step back, or you become ostracized from the rest of society.
And you're like disconnected. You don't know what's going on around you, and everyone's like, you see everyone on another world, and you're just over here being neglected and not knowing what is happening around you, and everyone's just talking about it, and you have to be there like, oh yeah, I know about that, and you have no idea what's happening. But let's talk about something positive that technology has come to us. It's made our lives easier in a way of communication.
Mm-hmm.
We can communicate with our families that are like in another country, in another state, and it's like something good.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and technology in and of itself spurs on medicine. For example, ever since the Industrial Revolution and even a little bit before that, let's take COVID. If we didn't have the type of technology and then medicine revolutions that we've had now, COVID would have been a massive deal, more like an issue far greater than it was. And so you know, most people in the world, the more people in the world have clean, safe water than ever before, and in all of history. So, while we talk about technology and the potential downsides of it, definitely there's massive, massive upsides.
I'm gonna go back and talk about one downside of the COVID is that if we didn't have the technology for people to travel, maybe it wouldn't have spread as much as it would have back in the day.
Sure.
But like you said, medicine is good, and we're looking for cures of cancer and many other illnesses that need to be treated to help people like be well. Another thing is that, like I said, with the cars, like animals, the poor horses had to be working, and now they can like take a rest and relax.
Definitely. But then on the other side, because of technology and how, because of those medicine revolutions, our population has grown so much. Now we have type of things like, you know, you have tons and tons of cows crammed together in slaughterhouses, and you know, chickens being held for, you know, not free pasture, but just making eggs and everything. And so, while it's always a trade-off, it's always a trade-off with technology. Both you're extending the quality of life, but in that quality of life, you lose your contentness, and you're speeding up communication. But in that quality of communication, you're losing genuine connection. And so, in everything, it's like one step forward and two steps back. And I think that if we're able to recognize the potential downsides of innovation, then we can take steps to making new innovations that cut down the downsides of it.